Hello and welcome to Fresh Perspectives. My name is Gail, and I have two guests with me today. They are interns from the Greystone Nature Preserve outside of Fredonia, and they are students at the college in Fredonia who are interning at the Greystone Nature Preserve this fall. I'd like you to meet Asha Deharder.
Hello.
And Hope Winter.
Hello.
Now, Asha, what are you studying at college?
Well, right now I'm undecided, so I'm taking a bunch of different classes and really trying to see what I like and what I don't like.
Oh, okay. That's always good. I've always kind of thought that people should maybe try a few jobs before going to college to see what they like before they sign up for things. And what about you, Hope?
I'm currently a senior. I'm a communication journalism major, so I actually want to work on television one day. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. So this is good experience for you. And you said that you're serving as the public relations person for Graystone?
Yes, I am. My internship involves me working on the website and doing their social media and getting promotions out to know that everyone that we're open still and that the trails are open and it's important to get out and get the fresh air and just be immersed in nature, especially during these tough times.
Are you having any special events this fall?
We're actually having classes for young toddlers, ages 4 to 7.
Oh.
And it's called the Autumnal, what was it called? It's her program.
It's called the Autumnal Adventures. I'm the educational intern, and so I've been putting together a program called Autumnal Adventures. It runs for 4 to 7-year-olds, 1 to 3 on some Thursdays and Saturdays, and our registration is online.
Oh, okay. So this is going to run all the way through the fall months?
It's going to run, for right now it's on Thursdays, but it continues through the end of October, and we have all our dates online again. It's not every single Thursday and Saturday, but pretty near.
Oh, okay. Okay, will this run through November?
No, the last one I think is actually on Halloween, so that'll be fun.
Oh, Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, my brother is involved in something called the Children's Safety Village down in Asheville. Have you heard of it?
I volunteered there before.
Oh, you did? Maybe you've met him.
Maybe.
You know, last year he said they had the biggest turnout ever. You know, he said he couldn't believe it. He'd never seen anything like it. And it was the night before Halloween, not right on Halloween. And he said the cars were parked all the way down to the light at the corner down in Asheville and all along the road, and because the parking lot was full. And then even along the main road and through there, cars were parked. And he said that they had to keep going down into Lakewood to buy more treats because they kept running out. So, but he said they're not going to do it this year on account of the coronavirus. So that's spoiling a lot of events, but then that's the way it goes, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big concern that we have is that kids, there's not a lot of recreational activities available right now, and I think that the program that we've assembled at Greystone is really great because it gets kids outside, it gets them moving, it gets them socializing in an environment that we're so lacking in right now.
Oh, yeah. Are they required to wear masks then?
Well, we follow the New York State camp guidelines, so no, they are not, but any instructor or adult is, and we plan our activities so there's social distancing and try to keep it safe, but no, they're not required to wear masks.
Okay, I was just wondering about that. You have some nice pictures that Chris scanned for us to see. Would you like to show them now?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
So Greystone does a lot of field days and whatnot and community outreach, so this is what these pictures are from.
Have you ever heard of a man named Ram Dass? Well, probably. He just died last year. But he was somebody that was very famous because of his travels to India and practicing yoga and so forth. And that circle there looks like something that I saw him doing on a video when he was really, really young with a bunch of people from this ashram that he had lived at. So it made me think of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Now there's one of the Greystone chickens.
Yes.
Is that somebody's mom there in the background?
I bet, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Greystone, they have some free-range chickens, so it's always fun to come up the drive and see them clucking about.
Oh yeah, they're cute, I know.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's some children running in a field.
Another thing that we really encourage is free time in nature is really good for cognitive development. And so we have an approach where the kids lead it and you see what interests they're in, and then you encourage those interests.
Well, it sounds like you might just be wind up going into a field where you somehow do work for children.
Probably, yes. I think that's really important, especially when it comes to environmentalism, because the kids are the future, and the kids really need to develop a relationship with nature, because those are the seeds of stewardship later on in life.
Oh yeah, and we really need people like that nowadays, don't we? There's too much wrong stuff going on, like all of the pesticides and weed killers and things that people are using.
And Bill and Diane have such a lovely garden up there. It's harvest season right now. It's so great to come in and see all the squash and zucchini in the Three Sisters garden, and that's another big thing that they do is their gardening.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. My husband always plants a big garden out to our house every year, so most of the vegetables we eat come from there.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Okay, now is this around the pond where the goldfish are? They were pointing at the goldfish, was it, or the frogs? They had their fingers pointing, yeah.
And this is one of the old growth trees that's actually right on the border of Portland and Pomfret, and they kept them there to show the town line, but that's on one of the trails at Graystone. It's really big.
Oh yeah.
They had a lot of those trees on the trails.
Were there some more pictures?
I think that was probably it.
That was probably it. Okay. And so mainly that's what you do is the public relations.
Yeah,
then.
so I've been working for them for about 3 weeks, so I'm just starting.
Oh, you're just starting?
Yeah, so I'm
okay.
just starting. I'm getting a feel of the website, and I'm fixing that, doing some changes to that as well. But yeah, I'm just trying to learn more about it.
What made you interested in being interns with Bill and Diane?
Well, I've had a couple internships with environmental places. I'm from Jamestown, so I've interned with Roger Tory Peterson Institute and the Audubon.
Oh, so you actually grew up in Jamestown then?
I'm from Jamestown, yep. So, yeah, so that's where my interest comes in. And then I met Diane at the farmer's market, and she said they needed interns, so it seemed like a perfect fit.
Oh, good, good. And how about you?
So I recently, last semester, I did a story about my hometown in East Aurora about recycling and the lack of it. And after doing that story, I got in contact with one of the ladies from the sustainability group of East Aurora, and she told me I should reach out to Diane and then do an internship. And then COVID happened, everything got kind of flustered. So this semester I was looking for an internship because I'm a senior, I got, credits and stuff. So I saw that Greystone was looking, and I thought, oh my gosh, that would be perfect. And I thought it was a really cool opportunity to learn more, because I haven't really been, with nature and all that stuff. And it's a really cool field that I'm learning about, as I'm also learning communication and PR skills as well. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think you're probably going to be a television personality at some point?
I would love to, yeah. I don't know if it's very feasible, but I have also found a new love for PR as well. I really like working with social media and website design as well. I recently had an internship at Sunset Bay and did their marketing over the summer as well. But
well, we're all volunteers here at this television studio. It's not paying jobs, so if you ever find yourself feeling interested in being part of the crew here, let us know.
Oh my gosh, I would love to. I really would.
I'm sure that we could always find something for you to do, maybe substitute
Oh my
or
gosh,
something.
I would love to. I really
Okay,
would. Yeah.
okay. And you could too if you wanted to, Asha.
Thank you.
Learn to run the cameras and so forth. So that would be a lot of fun. So what else is going to be going on during the time that you are there? You're going to be the two of you are just going to be working at Greystone until Thanksgiving.
Yeah, roughly around. I think it's December 1st is when
December
the internship,
1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll mainly be working on this program and also building back up our PR stuff, but in general, we're just trying to get Graystone back into the swing of things because obviously the coronavirus put everything to a standstill, so we're just kind of trying to rebuild that.
And to get the word out that they are open. They're open every day. Dusk
So that people
dawn.
can come out there and
Yeah,
hike.
anyone can come. All they got to do is just call to make sure that Bill and Diane know that people are on the land. There's 40 acres of land to hike, so you can walk around, be immersed in nature, and there's also a program that they're having. I think it's every one Saturday a month. It's on the website. It's the Medicinal Trail.
Oh,
and it's a
okay.
walk through the trails that show a bunch of plants that are on the trails that can also be used for medicinal purposes as well.
Yeah.
So people can come, people can see them, some people can pick them too. So it's really cool to experience that as well.
Our vegetarian vegan group has done our annual herb walk out there a couple of times at Greystone, and it's a lot of fun, and you get an herbalist to come out and tell everybody all about all of these certain plants, and then they usually point out poison ivy and stuff like that too, so you know what you're not supposed to be touching. Bill and Diane, I know they work really hard with something called honeysuckle that they're always trying to pull up because of it being an invasive species that was brought here by mistake from, I'm not sure where it came from, but...
and it was actually used to be handed out by the U.S. government for erosion control before we really knew the extent of how invasive it was.
Oh,
and so now
really?
it's everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, really? Erosion control. I know my husband used to get plants sent to him from, I think it was the conservation department or something like that, various different trees and things that he'd take out and plant, like something called autumn olive and things like that. So, but yeah, have they talked to you about any of the other invasive species?
I think they've pointed some out, but I have a good amount of experience with invasive species control. And
Have you
whatnot.
really? What other kind of plants are there around here that are invasive?
Well, one of the biggest ones and the worst ones is knotweed, or bamboo, so it looks like bamboo.
Oh, bamboo.
Yeah, and so it's really bad for soil. The roots go really deep and take out all the nutrients and just starve out any native plant around it, and it's really hard to remove.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. I'd heard that there was something around here called bamboo, but I've heard some beekeepers talking about the honeybees getting nectar from the bamboo plants.
And what that can be compared to is like a native animal taking nectar from an invasive species, it's like eating fast food. I mean,
Oh,
yes,
is it really?
Yes,
So it's
it
not
can.
really that good for them?
Oh no,
though,
any
then.
invasive species, because if you think about it, any native plants and animals, they evolved for millions of years together, and then you bring in this random plant, it's not the same, it doesn't match up, and it's just disruptive for the environment all around.
Oh, gosh.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. My husband and I, we haven't the last couple of years, but we raised honeybees for probably close to 30 years or something.
cool.
Not as a business, just a few hives.
Mhm.
And it was pretty interesting, but I can remember the person at the time that was the president of the Chautauqua County Beekeepers Association talking about the bees going after the bamboo plants and like that. I remember one year, our spring and summer honey was really, usually it's really light in color, but one year it was really dark. The honey was really dark, and I said to my husband, if I didn't know better, I'd swear that looks like buckwheat honey. It's so dark in color. But I didn't think there was any buckwheat around our neighborhood or anything. They only travel a couple of miles. So then a few weeks later, I was talking to somebody that lives up around the corner from us, and they said that they had planted buckwheat in their field that year, and they're going, and it was, when it was blossoming, they go, it was just covered with honeybees. And I'm going, oh, so that's where they got it. You know, they were going over to your place. So that was kind of interesting. We, when she and I were talking to each other, we had a really good laugh about that. So, so anyways, what are the other subjects that you're trying out right now then?
In school, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just taking a couple of introductory classes like philosophy, creative writing, some history classes, just pretty generic humanities stuff, because that's really where I mean, environmentalism and the arts, that's really the crossroads at what I like to do.
Yeah, the environmental stuff is really important these
Oh, most
days.
certainly.
Yeah.
And there's so much to do with that, and yes, there's the science side of it, but also, you know, the art we create, because that's the most effective way to reach the people, and people really need to know, you know, what their role is and like their obligation to help protect the planet.
Oh, right, right.
Mhm.
I would love to interview, I'm trying to think of her first name here. Greta Thunberg.
I don't know who that is.
You don't?
Greta Thunberg? She's the one that's in charge of like the climate strike.
Oh, she's
geez.
that
the
that
16-year-old.
teenager that's an
Oh,
activist.
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I know her
Yeah,
face,
yeah.
but
I was gonna say I know.
She, I would love to interview her. She is so interesting. I believe she's vegan too. Now, you said that you're vegan, Asha. How did you come to switching to that?
Well, I had a couple of friends who were vegan, and obviously, you know, my first reaction would be, oh, that's very difficult, I don't know if I can do it. But when you really do the research, the single most influential thing you can do to help the environment is to switch to a plant-based diet.
Exactly, because that is, it's probably most people don't know that that is the major contributing factor to global climate change.
Animal agriculture creates more fossil fuels than any oil or fuel that we use.
Right. It's safer to eat a plant-based diet than it is to stop driving your car.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I really have been a lot healthier over the years since I went completely plant-based. I was just vegetarian for quite a number of years, and then after a certain health issue that I had, I went totally plant-based, and it was amazing how much good it did.
Definitely.
So well, I'm glad that you did that. Then you do your own food preparations mostly?
Yeah, and the thing is when you switch to a plant-based diet, you tend to do a lot more of your own cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really developed a hobby and a love for cooking. I love having the raw ingredients, cutting them and creating something with it. I enjoy it a lot.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, it's easier to clean up after, too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, those greasy, stuck-on messes you get with meat and everything. And then if you made something with mozzarella cheese, it was like the cheese was like glue on the pan. You know, it was hard to get it off. And have you? Are you vegetarian?
I am not. I've tried it a couple times to go at least plant-based. My father tried to go plant-based before COVID happened. He saw a documentary on Netflix actually that kind of changed his mind like drastically. So I kind of tried it with him for a little bit, but I should go plant-based, but it's just I still live on campus at school and stuff, and the food you can't really, it's really hard to live on campus and find it.
Yeah,
so.
I interviewed Virginia Horvath when she was president of the college over in Fredonia. She had become friends with Ann Dinshaw from the American Vegan Society, and she had actually helped with advertising at the college for these these special events that Ann Dinshaw was putting on at the restaurants in the Fredonia area. And so I met her at, she would come to those dinners, and she switched over to being vegan.
She did.
And so that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, she was the one that got the vegan cafe in Fenton Hall.
Right. She now you can get vegan meals there because she switched over and wanted to make some changes. So.
Yeah, it's really beneficial.
Definitely.
So, you go for lots of hikes then on the trails at Greystone?
Well, I just learned about Graystone when I became an intern there, and I feel like I'm just caught in the wheel of homework and stress and all that, so I love to get into nature, but the past couple of weeks I haven't had any time.
Yeah, me too. I just found out that Greystone had the trails and stuff, so I've gone on a little bit of it, but I haven't fully been able to see the whole land yet.
Oh yeah. So
it is really pretty from what you can see.
Now you were saying something about their cabin.
So their cabin, they I can't talk today. They redid this one cabin that's in one of their main fields, and it's right after their gardens, their Three Sisters gardens, their sunflower patch, and all that stuff. So you can actually rent out this cabin now. They're gonna put beds in it. You can give you food, water, and you can actually rent it out nightly if you want to get away for a night and just immerse yourself in nature. So it's actually really cool, and there's also the view of the lake in the distance. So it's really a cool experience.
Yeah, it's just one family can.
Yeah,
there's not more than one room, just one family
it's like
can
a 20
rent
by,
it at a time.
Yeah, it's a 20 by 30 wide little cabin. So it's a sleeper cabin. There's a wood stove in it, but anything you want, they'll bring to you. They'll set up beds and water for you as well. So.
Now, you said that you that there is a television studio at the college?
Oh, yeah. So I actually work for the TV station on campus. It's called WNYF. I'm the PR director for them as well, and I'm also the News 11 producer there as well. So it's a really cool station because it's completely student run. We have one advisor who's the communication department chair, Mark Kayak, but the rest of it is all up to the students to put shows on, to plan shows, and to make sure, obviously with COVID, to make sure everyone's safe. So it's been a really cool experience working for that station for the last 3 years, almost 4 years now.
3 years, okay. Okay, so I knew that they'd always had a radio station over there. I assume they still do?
Yeah, so the radio station is actually all remote this semester, is what I heard.
It's remote?
Yeah,
oh,
that's what I
people are
heard.
broadcasting from their homes?
Yeah, so people are doing like podcasts now from their
Uh-huh.
phones, is what I've heard. I don't know if that's for sure true. But I heard they're trying to do it more remote and just record things and send it in. But yeah, the TV station's located underneath Hendricks Hall, so it's kind of tucked away.
The TV station
Yeah.
is. Okay, okay, now are you able to broadcast programs from there to where?
So we broadcast onto channel 11. So anyone in the Fredonia community, anyone around from Fredonia can like see our broadcast on channel 11.
But only Fredonia people?
Fredonia, yeah, and the
Okay.
communities around as well.
Oh, some
Yeah.
of the surrounding communities.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's channel 11.
Mhm.
Okay, now you were mentioning a little while ago that people can call or contact Diane and Bill to let them know that they are coming out on the property to walk around and so forth. Now, how do they contact?
So you can find the phone number on our website. It's
Okay.
right up on the page.
Okay.
And you can also like email and let us know as well. They really like to know when people are on the lands,
Oh,
but
of
you
course,
can always
yeah, of
you can
course,
always
yeah.
go on the lands. They're open every day, dawn to dusk. So
Okay, dawn to dusk. Okay, and so you haven't had time to hike around then?
I mean, I have a bit. It's really beautiful up
Mhm.
there, and you can see Lake Erie. Actually, the other day it was clear out, and you could see clear to Canada. It's really
yeah,
It's really
oh, yeah.
beautiful up there.
Now, Hope has told us that she's a senior. What year are you in?
I'm a sophomore.
You're a sophomore. Okay,
Mhm.
it's your second year then. Okay. So, and you're from Jamestown, but you go to the Fredonia College.
I do. I commute though.
Oh, you commute. You
Mhm.
drive back and forth for all your classes.
Yeah, pretty much all of them are online though.
Oh, okay. So
Mhm.
it's not too terribly much traveling then.
And I don't mind. It's Chautauqua County's so beautiful. I love
Mhm.
taking
I
the
know,
country
scenery-
roads. Yeah,
The
it's
scenery
beautiful.
really is beautiful.
Mhm.
I like it. I like seeing along the roads the goldenrod growing next to the purple asters
Exactly,
at
it's so
this time of the
pretty.
year. You know, the gold and the purple look so nice together.
I know you forget how many wildflowers are up this time of year, but that's what I've really been enjoying too, along the sides of the road, and everything's just starting to take on that yellowy hue. It's so beautiful.
Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. And the leaves will be turning soon.
Mhm.
I noticed them today. They started changing. I was like, oh
I
yay!
know, it's exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Spring is always really nice. I think spring is like a favorite season for me. You know, the snow melts and you gradually start seeing different things
Mhm.
come out
Yeah.
and so forth. Where we live out in the country, we live on the other side of the road from a big pond.
Mhm.
And so we get to listen to the spring peepers.
I love the spring peepers. So
I
much.
love that sound. That is my favorite sound in the whole world, is the sound of the spring peepers. But you know, I've been noticing here in the second half of the year a lack of certain noises that I wonder if it has to do with the global climate change and so forth. Now, normally there's this noise that I call the August noise. And it's like a continuous ringing sound.
The cicadas?
Yeah, and we've hardly heard that at all this year.
Really? I've heard a lot of cicadas
Have
this
you?
year. Yeah.
I wonder if it's something that's just going on in the area where we live. Because usually, I mean, it's a continuous noise the entire time. And then usually, like in September, like right now in September, we're usually hearing a lot of tree frogs in the evening hours, but we haven't heard much of that either.
Not sure.
So I don't know what's going on. But you've been hearing those things yourself.
Yeah,
also.
I've heard a lot of cicadas. Yeah, more so a couple weeks ago. You know, it's getting
Uh-huh.
colder. They're starting to.
Yeah,
Be quiet.
yeah. But the tree frogs, have you been hearing those?
No.
Or is that something
But
that
also, I
Out
live
in
in
the-
Jamestown,
you
so I'm not.
don't live out in the country,
Mm-mm.
so, yeah, because that's something, when you live out in the woods like we do, that's something you're normally hearing a lot of in the month of September, but we haven't heard much of that at all.
Maybe because
So-
it got cool so quick.
Mm.
I don't know.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it hasn't been like winter weather or
Mm-mm.
anything, so. But that's another beautiful sound too. Kind of beautiful like the spring peepers. I
Mhm.
like the croaking noises they make in the summer months too.
Yeah.
So, what made you girls pick Fredonia then? For
I always loved Fredonia. My older sister went to Fredonia,
Mhm.
and I remember when she first came for Acceptance Students Day or whatever. I was little, and I loved the trees. That was honestly
Oh,
the
yeah.
reason why
Oh,
I loved
yeah.
it. Was those
Yeah.
cool trees by in the middle of campus. I knew that it was just so cool, and I always loved Fredonia. I was really involved with music during high school, so I always wanted to be around music, even if I didn't go into it. So
Mhm.
that's why I picked Fredonia.
Do you girls ever spend time at the Chautauqua Institution during the summer?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time at Chautauqua Institution because I was also in the music, so that's where the all county is every year. So I spent some time there.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and what about you? You
I haven't been there since high school because of all county, but
uh-huh. But you have been there.
yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice things going on there. If you really like music, you know,
Mhm.
that's a. Unfortunately, there wasn't much going on there this summer because of the coronavirus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, has that affected you girls very much? I mean, do you find it scary?
I mean, so we got sent home last March for school, but I find it scary. I mean, you know, you do what you can.
Mhm.
You don't be crazy. You wait it out. You roll with it because things are changing so much. There's only so much you can do, and I don't want to be sick with worry all the time over things I can't control.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
I personally find it pretty scary.
Do you?
I do.
Yeah.
It's not even just like the whole you could die from it. It was just there's so much uncertainty from it. You don't know what to believe, what to hear, what to do. So I think it's just best to trust your gut, be safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. But
don't go anywhere you don't have to.
exactly, limit where you're going, who you're seeing, limit the exposure as much as you can. But because there are people that I do know that had it, and some people had it really bad. So it's just scary that anyone can get it, you know. So.
Right, right. Now, this was kind of interesting. Yesterday morning, I happened to see a Jamestown Post-Journal newspaper, and on the front page there was an article of a woman who's 103 years old who recently had it and recovered from it.
Wow.
It's
I
crazy.
mean that's incredible. It did say that she'd never smoked cigarettes or drank alcoholic beverages, though, too. It did mention that in the article. My husband seems to think, he seems to think maybe it's genetic, you know, whether it affects you really badly or not.
I heard that. I heard something in your genes. If you have this one gene in your system, then it like sparks it more, kind of thing, which is kind of weird, you know.
Well, you know, in recent years I've been hearing something about gene expression. Maybe you've heard of it?
Yeah.
And where researchers have found that if a woman is expecting her baby, and while she's raising her child and so forth, if she's eating a really good, healthy diet, that quite often the bad genes don't get turned on, that may have been inherited, don't get turned on, you know, and that there's a lot of things
I think that's the field of epigenetics. and it-
Epigenetics, that's
Mhm.
what it's called, right?
And it really
right.
shows like behavior and lifestyle is passed on,
Mhm.
and it's not just, so the better life you live, the choices you make, that does change the gene expression in your children.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I found that very interesting when I heard that there's actually something we can do to prevent a lot of genetic problems.
Mhm.
So, now, were there things that Diane and Bill wanted you to talk about while you're here? Anything in particular that they wanted you to mention?
Just pretty much the Autumnal Adventures program. I think it's really important for students and young children especially to come to Greystone to be a part of experiential learning, because you learn so much when you're just in it and you're playing and you're around the nature.
Yeah, I remember Diane and Bill were instrumental in putting on an Earth Day celebration at the Fredonia College last year, and I think they would have liked to have done it again this year, but because of the coronavirus, you couldn't really put on, celebrations and festivals and all of that. But they said that I wasn't able to attend, unfortunately, the one they had last year. Well, it was on a Saturday, and I have to do programming here on Saturday. But I remember they had quite a few different things going on at that. Did either of you participate in any of that?
I would have been in high school then, so I didn't know about it.
A year ago in the spring?
Well, do you mean of 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in high school
You
then.
were still in high school in 2019.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So you're a sophomore already.
So I graduated in spring of 2019.
And you're a sophomore in college. Were you taking some college courses while you were still in high school? Okay, so that's how you got to be where you are.
Well, so 2019 I was a senior, 2020 I was a freshman, so now I'm in the first semester of my sophomore year.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, yeah, I know that they had a festival out at Greystone a couple of years back. I think it was called the Bat, Bird, and Butterfly
Yeah, they are a bat, bird, and butterfly sanctuary too.
Sanctuary. Yeah. Are either one of you interested in bats?
Yeah, so when I did my internship with Roger Torrey Peterson, my supervisor, he was a bat biologist, John Townsend, and so learned a lot, did a lot of bat immersion counts, learned a lot about bats, and so they hold a special place in my heart.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had always been terrified of bats.
Me too.
My entire life. And, I think as an adult, I continued to be afraid of them. But I think what scared me was that I had heard that they can get rabies. So I found that particularly scary. But when I went to that festival and we sat in on a couple of lectures by a couple of different people about bats, it helped me to feel safer, not so much in danger at the sight of a bat or if one gets in the house or something like that. So, well, I think one thing that would scare me, before we started noticing that there weren't very many bats around anymore, I had seen bats out sometimes in broad daylight on a sunny day around our house. And it was kind of scary, a couple different experiences, 2 or 3 different experiences that way, which is kind of unusual to see them out and about on a sunny day like that. And but those lectures did kind of help me understand, what was going on, that sometimes those bats are young and they haven't figured their way around yet and things like that. And they said that it's usually when people get bit by a rabid bat, it's usually because they've gone to try to pick it up or something. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I feel like generally you should respect nature. And I feel like if you're close enough for a bat to bite you, maybe you're too close.
Yeah, probably.
And I also think that, they get attributed to having rabies and being, not great, but they're so good for the environment. And there's so many animals and so many things that are really great for the environment that we just kind of dismiss as being weird or creepy or gross.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that comes from a lack of understanding.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, one of the lecturers was a woman, and I think she might have actually been from the Chautauqua Institution. She kind of described how to capture one to put it back outside. There was something about getting a big container to put over them, and then like a piece of cardboard or something where you could slide them down, and that would be over the top of the container, the cardboard, and then you could take them outside and open it up and let them go and like that. So yeah, I haven't been as afraid of them since I heard those lectures.
Good.
And then they did some programming at that festival on butterflies, I remember. Like the monarch butterflies. I know my husband had been trimming some trails in the woods behind our house this year, so that we could go walking on them. And there's this one path that he left that he didn't mow it down because there was milkweed growing there, and he wanted to leave it there for the butterflies. And then there's always the problems with the birds. Did you ever read a book called Silent Spring by Rachel Carson? It's somebody who wrote it back in the 1960s. Okay. Okay. And, it was just about how the pesticides and things that people were using were killing a lot of the birds.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a lot fewer birds now than there used to be because of all the pesticides and things that people use. Somebody just handed me this brochure. Oh, this has some of the pictures in it of the children that you were showing earlier. Did you have something to do with making this up?
No, so that wasn't me. That was our prior intern.
Oh, a prior intern.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, go to Greystone. Okay, would you tell us the Greystone Nature Preserve website again?
Yeah, so you can see you can see the information about Greystone if you go to our website. It's www.greystonenaturepreserve.com, and then there's also a link on the website itself to donate if you want to help us out with some really kind donations. That's how we can be up and running and make sure everything gets done.
Oh, yeah. And then the phone number to call, if somebody prefers to call on the phone, is 716-679-6603. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. I guess I'm going to bring up the cabin rentals again.
All right.
Okay. Is there more that you have that you could say about it?
So the cabin is just recently done. They just finished renovating it this past week, actually, Friday.
I seem to remember when I saw it, it wasn't really finished on the inside.
Yeah. So they added a wood stove to it. It's really nice. It's got hardwood floors on it.
Did they put in? They probably put in insulation and some sort of
I'm not really sure.
You're not really
Yeah.
sure? They probably aren't going to be renting it in the winter then.
Probably not.
Probably
no.
not.
We're open in, what was that?
Indoor plumbing?
Indoor plumbing there isn't, I don't think. So.
That's probably why they're renting it out by the night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you would. They have a couple of outhouses out there.
Yeah,
I know,
and I'm sure you could.
And then you could probably be allowed into their house to wash your hands and
Yeah,
things
and to
like
use
that.
the bathroom
Yeah.
and stuff.
So, but there's not a shower or anything in it.
I'm not certain.
Probably not.
Probably
not running water.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes you hear about people who have outdoor showers where you're literally outside and it's hooked up a certain way and everything. Of course, you'd only be able to take those showers in warm weather.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, the cabin's pretty much a sleeper cabin just to come and sleep and, you know, it's pretty much like camping, but without the
like
tent.
camping,
Yeah.
basically camping out,
Yeah.
but in a cabin
In
instead
a cabin
of a tent.
instead of a tent, and you got the wood stove as well.
Right, right. So probably in the spring and the fall, people can rent it because there's a wood stove there. Of course, you kind of, if you're going to be using a wood stove, you kind of have to be kind of experienced that way so that you use it safely. Sometimes you hear about people putting inappropriate things in wood stoves.
Oh, yeah.
So, but back to that festival they had out there that one time, the Bird, Bat, and Bee Festival. I remember they had different vendors around, you know, different booths that you could go to for people to explain things. And there was one man who had, I think it was dead, dried bugs that people could sample, you know,
Oh,
to
like
see
crickets?
to see if they wanted to taste what the bats eat. Of course, I didn't, you know, being a vegan and everything,
yeah.
you know, I'm not going to go around eating bugs, you know, if I can possibly help it. So, but I think my husband tried some of them. I don't know what kind of bugs he tried, but I know he tried them, trying to be a good sport, you know.
Yeah. I've tried a cricket before, and it tasted like a sunflower seed.
Did
but
it?
It was definitely a weird experience. It was a dare, so.
Yeah. I remember this certain cousin of mine when we were kids. Sometimes she'd get a worm or something and chase me with it, and I'd run away. And it wasn't that I was afraid of the worm, because I knew the worm couldn't hurt me, but so she always thought I was afraid of worms. And but in reality, the reason I would run away from her when she was chasing me with one, I always thought she was going to, because you know how they are, I thought she was going to smear it on me or something, you know, smash it and smear it on me. So the things people do to each other. So have they had any? They probably haven't had anything like that there since you girls have
Unfortunately,
been
no.
working. Is Sandy Emke still working there? You know, she started out as just an intern there, and I guess she really loves the place because she wanted to continue being involved.
It's a great place.
Yeah.
Can you show off the brochure?
What?
Show the brochure, I think.
Oh, the brochure. Okay. I'll let you girls show it.
So we have our cover page, we have a couple of pictures, we have an About Us section, some things about our land, our unique features, and then how you can get involved. You could donate on our website, www.graystonenaturepreserve.com. You could intern like we are. Each semester we have a couple of interns, and you can volunteer. Right now we don't have many programs going on right now, but hopefully in the future we will. And we have some more pictures, and then our programming. We do our field day programs, hikes and guided tours, our land rentals, what we were talking about. We have our renovated cabin, relaxing in nature, meditation, sunset viewings. It's a lovely view of the sunset in Lake Erie. It sets right on the water. It's really beautiful. And we have Bat Watch because there is a bat house, and events and festivals. And what we do for outreach, we do our beach sweep, adopt a highway, our outreach classes, and our farmers markets, festivals, and events.
You have farmers markets at Greystone?
We visit farmers.
We
markets.
visit.
You visit
Yeah.
farmers markets. Okay. So, are there any other things that you girls would like to mention that you'd like the viewing audience to know?
I think just our Autumnal Adventures program is for 4 to 7-year-olds, 1 to 3 p.m. on certain Thursdays and Saturdays, and our registration is online. It's $15 a class or $75 for 6 classes. And
Okay.
so really would recommend spreading the word. You know, kids need that time in nature, and it's really beautiful up there. We have some great lessons planned. So.
Oh, okay.
So some lessons that we have planned are, we did a lesson on the harvest season, and
Oh,
so
okay.
because they have such a lovely garden out there, because I think it's really important for kids to understand, you know, how you grow food and spend time growing it, and then you have the food and you cook it, because kids are really disconnected. You know, you just have the fast food and the processed food. We have on bird migrations, leaves changing, how water prepares for winter, hibernation, and then Halloween is our last one.
And Halloween. Okay, now what are you going to be doing for Halloween?
Well, for Halloween we will have the kids, they can wear their costumes. We'll probably do something like trick-or-treating, but not necessarily, you know, maybe have some treats, but probably not candy. And
Right.
I think we would want to do some more, you know, teach them about some of the more traditional aspects of Halloween, you know, instead of the Americanized version. So I think that's the plan for Halloween.
Oh, yeah. You know, you can make really good sweet treats without sugar, can't you? Now, my husband bought me last year something called a Yonana. It's a machine that's specially made to make ice cream out of frozen bananas.
I have one of those.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, wow, yeah. And that's a lot of fun, and you can flavor it in all different ways and everything. And we have this other thing that we make out of, it's a chocolate pudding that is made, like the main ingredient is avocados.
Wow.
Really?
And it's like a little bit of maple syrup, a little bit of almond milk, you know, a little bit of cinnamon, you know, just all natural plant-based ingredients, and you just blend it for a minute in your blender, and you've got the best tasting chocolate pudding I've ever had. You know,
Cool.
I
And
mean,
it's
there's
good for you,
there's just all kinds of different things. This one friend of ours says that she uses bananas to sweeten all kinds of different things. So,
Yeah, that's a cool thing about a plant-based diet, is there's really a substitution for everything.
oh, I know, I
know.
know. It's different than it used to be because people have come up with ideas for things that they can make that taste just as good as the things that were always your favorite foods. Like with people who like macaroni and cheese, you can make a sauce out of nut butters and various other ingredients to make it taste cheesy and creamy.
Nutritional yeast.
Nutritional
Yeah.
yeast makes things taste cheesy, yeah. And some companies even have ready-made variations that you can use too, like the Daya company has really good cheese alternatives that taste really good. We've tried their cheese sauce on pasta, and honestly, it tastes a lot like if you're eating macaroni and cheese. It tastes amazingly like it.
Mhm.
So, let's see. We've got a little over 2 minutes left that we need to fill here.
Can we talk about the trails again? So
Yeah.
anyone, if you're not interested in being a part of the autumnal adventure, or you're too old, obviously, over 7 years old, our trails are open every day, dawn to dusk, and we're usually open May to November, and we're recently reopened because of COVID. Everything kind of got on hold for a little bit, but the trails are open. There's 40 acres of land that you can walk through, and it's really important just to get outside and be immersed in nature and just get a
Breathe fresh
air, you know?
Yeah. And you really need the fresh air these days, because when you're out in a public place, you're wearing a mask and you don't get as much oxygen as you do when you don't have it on. So if you get out in the woods somewhere and go for a walk and do some deep breathing, it'll do
Yes.
you a lot of good right now.
And especially with right now with COVID and just, you know, start of school and everything like that, there's just so much stress on everyone's shoulders. It's so important to get out there and just take a deep breath and just be okay, you know?
Right,
So.
right. Do either one of you ever do yogic breathing
I
exercise?
do. Oh, meditation helps me through
Exactly.
any test that I have to study for.
Oh, yeah, we should have talked about this earlier in the episode. I didn't think of it. Yeah, I know. I feel like yoga saved my life, you know. So, anyways, we've pretty much come to the end of another episode of Fresh Perspectives. And I want to thank you girls so much for coming on today. And I'm sure Bill and Diane really appreciate your coming on and talking about Greystone. And
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Thank
It
you
was
so
great.
much.
oh yeah, well I really enjoyed it. I hope I get to see you girls again sometime while you're still around.
Yeah.
So I will see the rest of you in the viewing audience on the next episode.